So let's chant Srila Bhaktisiddanta Saraswati Thakur's Pranam Mantra and we'll begin. So we'll chant together. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Namine Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Daitaya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhave Namaha Madhuryojvala Premadya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Viruddha Apasiddhanta Dvanta Harine. It's a very, very auspicious occasion. 150th birth anniversary, 150th appearance day of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. All the Gaudiya Vaishnavas in an ecstasy all over the world. So many places, so many programs are happening. So we thought that we will also get into that group and we will also do some festival glorifying Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. It's not ordinary to be a Gaudiya Vaishnava. It's not ordinary. More we read about these acharyas, more we dive deep into the charita of these acharyas, more we dive deep into the Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy, it get a lot of goosebumps come. Am I really qualified to be in this parampara? Every single personality in this parampara is glorious. I was hearing in one of the class that one Gaudiya Vaishnava is enough to deliver the entire universe. And who are these Gaudiya Vaishnavas? They're all very special because they're followers of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And who is the Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. No difference between Radha Krishna and Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srimati Radharani has got a lot of associates. The close associates are called Sakhis. And Sakhis are assisted by Manjaris. And these personalities in our parampara are the Manjaris. And they all have come from the spiritual world just to take us back home, back to Godhead. Can you imagine how important people we are? That Manjaris are coming from the spiritual world to pick us and take us back home, back to Godhead. They are coming to welcome in such great numbers. In such great numbers. And especially when it comes to these three personalities, the pillars of Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And therefore it is said that all of us as followers of Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, we need to have strong bonding with all these personalities. It's very natural to have bonding with people of this world because we have some give and take happening. It's very natural to have bonding with one's parents, one's siblings because they have taken care of us. But how much do we know that these acharyas, what they have done for us? Once we know that, naturally the bonding develops. Therefore, they are the fortunate ones who get to speak and hear about the glories of these great personalities. Because this gives an opportunity to develop that bonding, that relationship with these great personalities. And even if we can develop relationship with one personality, at least one, our life is successful. Our life is successful. And who is this Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur in the spiritual world? In spiritual world, her name, or his name in the spiritual world, he is a Manjari. Nayana Mani Manjari. Very, very great personality. Directly assisting Lalita Sakhi, in various services to Srimati Radharani. So in one of the previous sessions, we have seen the childhood of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Below 20 years pastimes we saw in that. Those itself were giving goosebumps. How in just 6 years of age he had memorized the entire Bhagavad-gita, ready to give class on each and every verse of that. And the oath that he took that I'll never eat mango because he ate one mango which was not offered to the Lord. And mastering various Sanskrit, mastering the Sanskrit language. And so many others, which clearly shows these personalities are not ordinary. Surely. So today we will see below 30 years of pastime. I think we need to have the decade pastime session. Yes. There's so much to read and so much to speak and so much to learn from the life sketch of these personalities. Talking about Jyotisha Shastra, which Saraswati Thakur was venturing into. In 1896, when he was just 21 years old, at that time, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, he started and edited 3 Jyotisha publications. I don't know what we were doing in the 21. Just passing out from engineering and having no knowledge of what we read. Just after that, 1 year later to that, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, he established at Bhakti Bhavan, it's his father's house near Kolkata, Bhakti Bhavan. He established something called as Saraswat Chatushpati. A Chatushpati is a place where the Brahmanas come to learn. They reside there and they learn. And here he opened that. And guess what? So many people would come to learn from him. Now just imagine if so many people are coming, just imagine his level of understanding and scholarship in that particular field. Not just young people. Young people were crazy behind him. But along with that, many old people who were equal to the age of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, they would come to learn from Bhaktisiddanta or Sri Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And there were people who were Jyotishis, they were coming also and learning the higher aspects of Jyotish Shastra. You can imagine the level that he had. He took charge of this Chatushpati. He oversaw the entire working of it for 4 years. And after that, he couldn't give much time because his initiation happened after that. So it is described 4 years he invested in this. And the entire space of astrology got completely transformed. There are so many misconceptions. He solved that also. Not just Rupanuga Viruddha Apasiddhanta, even astrology Viruddha Apasiddhanta. He was doing that. So many things, he corrected. So many things he corrected. 1901, with the help of a renowned Jyotishi, his name was Nandulal Vidyasagar. He directed a publication called Sri Navadvip Panjika. Now see, we know that there was a revolution done by one of our Acharya in Sanskrit grammar. Who was that? Jiva Goswami. And what was the work of Jiva Goswami named as? Harinamamrita Vakaran. What was the speciality of this? Yes. All the verb roots, all the basic titles that was given for various different sections of Sanskrit grammar, those were based on the names of the Supreme Lord. So there is no need of memorizing some material names. It is all Krishna's names. So just by chanting those names also, one can go back home back to God. Similarly, our Sri Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, through this Sri Navadvip Panjika, what he did was, he promoted and employed various names of Lord Vishnu. For what? For months, for weeks, for various muhurtas. He was the one who named. You might be hearing, no? Govinda Mas, and then we have Keshav Mas, etc., etc. Who gave those names? Our Sri Siddhanta Saraswati. And along with that, we have to be very, very indebted to Saraswati Thakur. Because if today we open our Vaishnav calendar app and so easily we get to know when is Ekadashi and then when is Janmashtami and when is Radhashtami, etc., it was because of his mercy. He was the one who gave these dates in Vaishnav calendar. He was the one who gave us a proper and improper time frames for various samskaras. I don't know how many of us know this, but when it comes to us as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we have our own book given by Gopal Bhatta Goswami for samskaras. And we follow that. And whatever time frames or muhurtas which are there, those are given by Bhaktisiddanta Saraswati to make our life easy. In fact, one of the things which I was astonished to read, throughout his life, he would go out on preaching ventures, seeing the muhurta. Only favorable muhurtas, he'll step out. I was shocked. I was like, how come a Vaishnava need to follow all this? And following the same footsteps, we have some Prabhupada's disciples. They also see muhurta and step out of the place, for various services. I don't think we have option like that. As of now, we don't have. Yes. Just imagine you go late to office and your boss is asking, what happened? No, right time. It was not the right time to start. But one thing is very, very important. See, when someone gets into a field which is not very much connected to pure devotional service, it has been seen in the history that people deviate. But when it comes to Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, for him, pure devotional service was first, and everything else was later. And there were times when Bhaktivinoda Thakur would speak something, and his astrological calculation would say something else, and it would contradict. And then there's a contradiction. Sri Siddhanta Saraswati would not follow the astrological calculation. He'll follow his father's instruction. And many of the times, it has happened where Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying something, and he knows very well this is not the right time to do that, but still he'll follow, because that's what is Vaishnava Siddhanta all about. Pure devotees are given first priority, because one thing is very clear. The words of pure devotees are proven true, or the words of pure devotees are manifested, materialized by Supreme Personality of Godhead. So what are these grahas and nakshatras in front of that? So in this way he did that. In fact, when it comes to his austerities, this is scholarship. When it comes to his austerities, when he was just 22 years old, so at that time, he started following Chaturmas Vrata. Now see, Chaturmas Vrata is there in Hari Bhakti Vilas by Sanatana Goswami. But then when this entire downfall happened of Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, when people got into Sahajya mood, no austerity, only mellows of Krishna consciousness. All into the higher pastimes of the Lord. No, hearing and reading is still okay, but enacting the pastimes, intimate pastimes of Radha and Krishna in public, or even in private for that matter, is so abominable. Who are we, Jivatmas, to imitate? And these personalities were imitating. And it so happened that all this vrata that was there, these austerities which were there, all that was given up. They said, we need not follow all these austerities. We have to float in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. But Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was very strong on this. He was the one who revived the Chaturmas Vrata. And he gave all the details. He revived the details from Hari Bhakti Vilas. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he followed himself. But Saraswati Thakur was very strict in following Chaturmas Vrata. Very, very strict. He'll eat only once before sunset. And that too, only boiled rice. Without salt, without spice. And I need not say, don't try this at home. And you will not try. And there's no question of eating in plate. There's something called as go grasa. Go grasa means the way the cow eats. So this is vrata. So the food is put on the floor and you have to fold your hands behind, hold your hands behind, and then go down and eat the food. Now, if you come up, then done. How much ever you want to eat, you have to eat at one go, and once you come up, you're done. You have to wash your mouth. Hari bol. This was the thing which our Saraswati Thakur was following. And then he would not sleep on any mattress or any mat. No pillow. Directly on the bare floor. Doesn't matter how much cold it is. Doesn't matter how much hot it is. He'll just lie down on the bare floor. And there's no question of shaving and cutting nails for Chaturmas. Sometimes devotees are like, Prabhuji, I'm following Chaturmas. Yes, and nicely. Why? No, it is not shaved, because they don't get time. They're so busy in chanting the holy names. Hundreds and hundreds of rounds that they don't get time for all this. Cutting nails also or shaving also. So in this way, he was following all this. But there were times when his health went really bad because of this vrata. So that time, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, his father, would come and tell him, see, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is on a higher platform. And here Saraswati Thakur is there. He has accepted him as a superior. He's a Shiksha Guru. Whatever Bhaktivinoda Thakur would say, he'll just follow. So once Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, this is not very necessary. Self-denial is something not necessary. So you can calm down your austerities. So at that time, Srila Bhaktisiddanta Saraswati, what he did was he stopped the vrata. Or he slowed down, we can say. He slowed down his vrata. This was the austerity of this Acharya. See, one thing that you can see in our parampara is they are very, very austere, very, very renounced. Because the followers of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is that personality. Very renounced, very austere. If you see in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastime, when Jagadananda Pandit would get various items for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, once he got a nice mattress made. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, no, I cannot accept this. I'm a renunciant. Another time, Jagadananda Pandit had gone to Navadvip. And from there he had got sandalwood oil, which he had personally pressed. Now one pot of sandalwood oil. And it was given to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that please apply on your body. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went crazy hearing that. What is this Jaga doing? He want my renunciation to be spoiled? I cannot apply this. And Govinda, the secretary of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, cannot go and say that to Jagadananda Pandit. Then again, Jagadananda Pandit would come and say, Govinda, what happened? Did Mahaprabhu accept or no? And then like that 2-3 times happened. And finally Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, ask Jagadananda to take the oil and offer it to Jagannath. And Jagadananda in Krishna pastime is Satyabhama. So he took that pot angrily. He went outside and broke it. No need to apply, it's okay. Mahaprabhu was very strict and very renounced. And his followers are like that, no doubt about that. So in this way, we see that Srila Bhaktisiddanta Saraswati Thakur, one more episode will come of his austerity, we'll see that. Very austere, very, very austere. And that austerity was not to prove how great he is, but this austerity was only and only and only to please Krishna. We should always ask when we're doing any austerity, why am I doing it? Am I doing it to please Krishna or am I doing it to please the Vaishnavas? Please the Vaishnavas means just to boast oneself in the Vaishnava community, not to actually please Vaishnavas. At times when you do Nirjala Ekadashi, we'll post everywhere else. There's status, there is on Insta, there's Facebook, shorts are made that yes, I'm doing Nirjala. Now I'm about to break the fast and you drink the water and then everywhere, I broke the fast, I broke the fast. So sometimes we should ask ourselves, what am I doing and for who am I doing? For newcomers, we have this session. Why we do what we do. In fact, this becomes more relevant when we spend some time in Krishna consciousness. Why we do what we do. At that time, we give scientific reasons why we do what we do in the newcomer session. But then when it comes to devotees who spend some time in Krishna consciousness, why we do what we do is on the spiritual platform. And if the answer is why, if the question is why, the answer is to please Guru and Krishna. There is no other reason apart from this. Talking about Saraswati Thakur's other scholarly activities. When he was 23 years old, this was 1898. So Sri Siddhanta Saraswati along with Bhaktivinoda Thakur, they went to different places. They went to Prayag, Banaras, Gaya, and they collected a lot of information. And this information was regarding Chaitanya, Lord Chaitanya. And this, what he had collected at the age of 23, he had put that in his Anubhashya commentary on Chaitanya Charitamrita. So his commentary written by Saraswati Thakur. So in that, he had put this. Another very, very important thing, which I was very pleased to read. So there was a Sri Vaishnava in Banaras. His name was Sri Vaishnava Pandit. He became so pleased with Saraswati Thakur, because the knowledge of Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya which Saraswati Thakur had was very, very deep. And just by associating with him, this personality, Sri Vaishnava Pandit, he felt so nice and so intimately connected, with this great personality, Saraswati Thakur. Not ordinary. These people are not ordinary for sure. Here we are struggling to understand what is Achintya Bheda Bhed. Yes. And here, look at them. All the sampradayas, they knew what is the philosophy, what are the various pros and cons, or what are the merits and demerits, etc., etc. Everything, everything. When he was 24 years old, 1899, every year something is published. Every year. Sri Siddhanta Saraswati became the editor of and a major contributor to the spiritual portion of Nivedana, a new English religious cum secular weekly started by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and published from Bhakti Bhavan. Now that Bhakti Bhavan, I don't know if that was a house or printing press. Half of the house was converted into printing press. Doesn't look like. Every week, there is something that is released from there. And look at this 24-year-old boy. He is assisting his father. In fact, he is a major contributor in this particular publication. When he was 25, in 1900, he wrote and printed Bange Samajikata, this is social customs in Bengal. Now he had mastered all that, and he put all that, in that, what do you call it as, this book. And in that he has delineated various errors which are there in various customs. And while proving that, while putting those errors in place in the book, he established how Achintya Bheda Bhed Tattva, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy, is the topmost. We'll see this one thing when it comes to our acharyas. They're very bold in preaching the message of Lord Chaitanya. They don't hesitate. Oh, I'm talking to this person, so what am I supposed to do? I'm talking to that person, so what am I supposed to speak? Should I hide something? Should I speak something? What am I supposed to do? No. Whatever it is, whatever tattva is there, that is there. They just establish to the core, to the point. And here he did that. So in this way we see that superiority of Lord Chaitanya's Achintya Bheda Bhed Tattva was established in this particular publication. So 1900 is a very, very important year for Saraswati Thakur. Because that is the year when his life got transformed. In 1898, when Saraswati Thakur was 23 years old, in 1898, after performing bhajan for 30 years in Vrindavan Dham, a great personality entered Navadvip Dham to take darshan of Gaura Vishnu Priya at Yogapeeth. And he was Srila Gaura Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. Sakshad Vairagya Murtaye. The renunciation personified is Gaura Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. So he came to Navadvip Dham. He came there, he met Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. When he came, he was wearing a tiger cap and he was having a basket in the hand with some paraphernalias. In this mode he entered. And towards the end of this 1898, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he had constructed his house in Godrum Dweep, whose name is Swananda Sukhada Kunja. He had constructed his house. And that was the place when Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj came, and our Sri Siddhanta Saraswati got the first darshan of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. Hear this meeting about two great personalities. Very intense, very deep. Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, that was the first meeting. And he was awestruck and deeply influenced by Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. Because Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj was reciting some verses composed by Raghunath Das Goswami in glorification of Srimati Radharani. And Saraswati Thakur is hearing that and is completely attracted towards these verses. And immediately Saraswati Thakur, he writes down these verses. Now to write down verses, you should know the meaning also. So he was knowing. He was a Sanskrit scholar. So he was writing it down. And it is described that these verses were the meditation, internal meditation of Saraswati Thakur from that day onwards. It's very, very important to have some internal meditation. Every devotee should have internal meditation. See, all of us might have noticed that in some class there'll be some point which will hit our consciousness, which will enter deep in our heart. That is the point which we should note down, and that becomes our internal meditation. And we should keep recollecting that particular thing and see how we can implement that in our day-to-day life. For them, it is something different. Their internal meditation is internal relishment. But for us, internal meditation is more of self-introspection to improve ourselves on the path of devotional service. Therefore, always devotees are very keen about noting down those important points which have entered deep into their heart and keep revising that time and again. In fact, there are some senior devotees who choose few lectures and they keep hearing same lecture again and again and again. I know few senior devotees who keep speaking the same pastime n number of times in n number of classes. If you ask them, Prabhuji, which topic you would like to speak on? They say, whichever verse you give, I'll speak on that. Whichever verse it is, doesn't matter, content is same. Now just imagine if content is same, again and again they're repeating. Just imagine how much they are relishing. If you relish, you can speak. If you don't relish, you cannot speak. So that is called as internal meditation. And here, Saraswati Thakur had this as his internal meditation. Those beautiful esoteric verses which glorified Srimati Radharani. Sometime later, whatever Babaji Maharaj had, Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj had, the tiger skin cap, the basket with some paraphernalia, and he would not chant on beads and all. So he had some cloth, some knots were there in that cloth. So all that he gave it to Saraswati Thakur. Now this tiger cap and that bag of or basket full of paraphernalia and this string, a cloth which is knotted at certain places for chanting the holy names. Externally seeing that will be like, what is this? It will be like very insignificant for outsiders. But for Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, it was his life and soul. It was his future or to be Guru Maharaj's paraphernalia. Even now we see that when we receive some paraphernalia of our spiritual masters, we keep it very safe. We keep it as our treasure. So that's in Parampara. He did that. He was very happy to receive that. Very happy. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was acting as the Shiksha Guru. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was the one who gave Tulsi beads to him first in his childhood. If I'm not wrong, when he was 5 years old or 6 years old at that time. And then he was the one who gave Narsimha deity to him and gave Narsimha mantra. And when this Bhakti Bhavan was getting built, there was one Shaligram Shila that was got from there. Which Shaligram that was? Kurma Shaligram. And this Kurma Shaligram was worshipped by Saraswati Thakur. And the mantra to worship Kurma Shaligram was given by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So if you see, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was acting as Shiksha Guru at various instances of life. But then Bhaktivinoda Thakur felt, now my son should take further guidance and various other details of Krishna consciousness should learn from another personality. And looking at the renunciation and deep devotion of Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he told Sri Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur at that time that you should go and take initiation from him, Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj. Now externally, if you compare and contrast between these two personalities, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, great scholar, great intellectual, the way he would behave, the way his, gestures, conduct, body language, etc., that was really high class. High class. And exactly opposite was Srila Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj. Illiterate. Not very keen about being intellectual. At the same time, his behavior was very crude and rude. Complete contrast between the two. But see, when it comes to these great personalities, they are not the ones who see externals and they go and approach for initiation. Now, obviously, since we are neophytes, we hardly know, how to choose a spiritual master or whatever. So we see externals and then, he's from India. Okay, I'll take him for initiation. He looks whiter than him. His complexion is much whiter than him. Maybe I'll take initiation from him. He looks very cute. I'll take initiation from him. So some nonsense. Some nonsense. So that is what is our situation. But when it comes to these devotees, they're able to understand who is who. Easily able to understand who is who. They are not the ones who will get cheated. And as soon as he saw Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj, he was convinced that he is my spiritual master. And when he got a stamp from Bhaktivinoda Thakur, then it's all fixed. There's no question of second thought. So at that time, the son of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who was a Shiksha Guru of Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj also. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was acting as a Shiksha Guru for Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj. So his son, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's son, approaches Srila Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj for initiation. And Srila Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj, without any second thought, he rejected him. Without any second thought, he rejected him. Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, in one of his works, he writes about this incident. And he says that I was thinking I'm such a great scholar in maths and philosophy. And when I was rejected, I was completely shattered at that time. Completely shattered. And he also says that I always had this confidence that I can defeat any big Pandit who can come in front of me. But when my Gurudev defeated me, when my Gurudev rejected me, at that time, I was completely shook by his words. So that Bhaktisiddanta Saraswati Thakur also had some things in his heart. He was thinking that yes, when it comes to Vairagya, yes, we are equal, no doubt. But when it comes to understanding of Shastra, Guru Maharaj, not sure. Not sure. Yes. But then, in one of the discussions, Srila Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj spoke some lofty philosophy, some lofty things about the lordships, that Sri Siddhanta Saraswati was completely shattered. Whatever last thing was remaining in his heart, that was also completely made into powder. Yes, completely. And at that time, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati was clear. He is my Guru, no doubt. And then, very beautifully, he tells in his works, I then pondered that either he is extremely puffed up, he's talking about Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj, he's extremely puffed up or exceedingly merciful. Then just in one of the conversations, like a child, arrogantly he told his Gurudev, Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj, you are a worshipper, you and your Lord, that is Chaitanya. You and your Lord are the worshippers of that great cheater and debauchee, that is Krishna. And then it is said, so why would you be compassionate to someone like me dedicated to ordinary morality? Now it needs guts to speak all this. Basically, he's glorifying his Gurudev's attachment to Lord Krishna. His attachment to Lord Chaitanya is glorifying by using these different words. So 3 times Saraswati Thakur, he approached for initiation. First time, he went to ask Srila Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj that Babaji Maharaj, please accept me as your disciple. And Babaji Maharaj became very angry. In fact, anyone would approach Babaji Maharaj for initiation, he'll chastise them left, right, center. And sometimes he'll take his umbrella and beat them nicely. Nice, no? You just go and ask someone, pot. But still, even after knowing all this, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati went with all confidence, with all boldness, and he begged for initiation. And at that time, Srila Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj is speaking to his would-be disciple. And at that time he said, see, I accepted one disciple. And that disciple cheated me and he went. I have taken a vow that I will not accept any disciples now, after that incident. Now this was told. Again, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati is not an ordinary person who will just hear a few dialogues and just leave. Again he went begging that, oh, Babaji Maharaj, please accept me as a disciple. Please accept me as a disciple. So at that time, Srila Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj, he makes that famous dialogue. Okay, come later. I'll talk to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and seek his permission. Saraswati Thakur, now just imagine if someone tells you like this, what will you tell? Now that person is elevated. He can have his talks. So Sri Siddhanta Saraswati accepted and he left that place. Again after a few days he came. And then he asked Srila Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj, what did Lord Chaitanya say? And Srila Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj is saying, oh, I forgot. Come after a few days, we will see. Again, after a few days, Saraswati Thakura goes and he's asking that what did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu say? At that time, Srila Gaur Kishore Babaji Maharaj, he makes a strong statement and he says, I asked, but then I didn't get any command from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that was very clear that he's not going to give initiation to Sri Siddhanta Saraswati. Very clear. So after hearing this, Siddhanta Saraswati, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati was sitting. He stood up and he sang Narottam Das Thakur's one line. Karuna na hoile kandiya kandiya prana na rakhi boa. So Saraswati Thakur started crying and he left that place. And it was very clear, it was an indication that he's going to give up his life. Looking at the determination and looking at the eagerness to accept Gaur Kishore Babaji Maharaj as his guru, Maharaj's heart melted. And at that time, this was in 1900, at that time he told Saraswati Thakur that go take bath, oh Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, go take bath in Saraswati river and come. And he came, and at that time, Srila Gaur Kishore Babaji Maharaj accepted Sri Siddhanta Saraswati as his disciple. He was the only disciple. There was no disciple after that. And he gave a very beautiful name to him. That is Sri Varshabha Navi Devi Dayata Das. So Das is clear, servant. Sri Varshabha Navi Devi is Vrishabhanu Nandini, Vrishabhanu's daughter. That is Srimati Radharani. And Daita means beloved. So the beloved of Srimati Radharani is Krishna. So Krishna's servant. That was the name. Krishna Das was the name. Yes. So Sri Varshabha Navi Devi Dayata. Therefore we chant, no? Sri Varshabha Navi Devi Dayataye Kripabdhaye. And just imagine, anyone comes close to Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, he would just shoo them away like dogs. He will not entertain anyone. And talking about touching his feet, there is no question about that. No question. He would not allow anyone to touch his feet. But in one occasion, Srila Saraswati Thakur, when he was paying obeisances, Shri Gandharvika Giridhari Sriman Mahaprabhu ki Jai. In one occasion, when Srila Saraswati Thakur, when he was paying obeisance to Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj placed his lotus foot on the head of Saraswati Thakur and he gives an instruction. And the instruction was, preach the absolute truth, keeping aside all other activities. This was the stamp that if you go around and preach. Some years later, in fact many years later, when Bhaktisiddanta Saraswati Thakur, when Sri Siddhanta Saraswati became Maharaj, Bhaktisiddanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj, and he was preaching rampantly everywhere. So at that time, once he was traveling in a boat, a motor boat, and there was another devotee. And that devotee was talking to Saraswati Thakur. And he was saying that you and your Guru Maharaj, your lifestyles are completely different. You're a Goshtyanandi. You go around preaching and transforming people's life. And your Guru Maharaj is Bhajananandi. He just sits at one place and chants. He doesn't go to any place. How to understand this? How to understand that Guru and disciple are on a complete different path altogether? At that time, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he looked at the boat and he pointed at the engine of the boat and he started speaking. Following in the footsteps of Saraswati Thakur, even our Srila Prabhupada, he'll give live examples which are happening around. Can you look at that? Look at this, and then he'll speak the philosophy. And so here, Bhaktisiddanta Saraswati Thakur, he looked at the boat. They were there in the boat. He pointed at the engine and he started speaking. He said, can you see all these moving parts which are there? All these moving parts are moving because of one small entity which is called as battery. And this battery is small, it is silent, it is not moving. But without this battery, this entire boat cannot move at all. And he said, I might be doing massive services for the mission. I might be preaching here and there. I might be doing all this. But behind all this, the battery is my Gurudev. He is sitting and chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. He doesn't come out to talk to anyone. He is always dipped and immersed and absorbed in his own personal bhajan. That is the battery, and I am that boat. Without that, I am nothing. All glories to him. And following the footsteps of Bhaktisiddanta Saraswati Thakur, our dear Srila Prabhupada would also say the same thing. When he would be asked, or he would be acknowledged, saying that you have done such massive service. You have done this, you have done that. And in the big list would be told, he would just say, it's all by the mercy of my spiritual master, who was a Vaikuntha man. Bhaktisiddanta Saraswati Thakur. Therefore, one thing is very important, that whatever we might be doing in our life, in Krishna consciousness especially, whatever little bit advancement we are seeing in Krishna consciousness, always we should remember, it's because of our superiors' mercy, blessings, prayers. Or else what qualification we have? Sometimes I wonder, how am I sustaining for so long in Krishna consciousness? In the age of Kali Yuga, if someone can sustain practicing bhakti, chanting 16 rounds every day, it's not an ordinary thing. For sure, it's not an ordinary thing. Maya Shakti is just alluring everyone. And how come we, devotee species, how come we are just spared from all this? How? There are those superiors who are praying for us, who are blessing us, who are all the time showering their mercy onto us and recommending our name to Krishna. Ye to ekdam gaya guzra hai, isko sambhal lo. It's a gone case. If you don't shower your mercy, he's gone. He cannot do bhakti. Because of their mercy, their blessings, their prayers, we are sustaining ourselves. Therefore, it is said, spiritual master does two things to protect his disciples. The first thing that the spiritual master does is he gives instructions to his disciple. You should do this, you shouldn't do this. I want you to do this. And second thing that the spiritual master does is, he prays to the Lord, he recommends the disciple's name to the Lord. Basically, he takes sankalpa and he prays that please protect him. Therefore, any of us, if we are advancing in Krishna consciousness, without any second thought, without any ambiguity, we can surely say, it's all because of my superiors. Therefore, it is said, when anyone glorifies us, that glory is not for us for sure. That glory has to be passed on to our superiors, because by their mercy we are able to do something. Nimitta matra bhava savya sachi. So it is by the mercy of the superiors who are using us as the instrument in their hands, we are able to do something in Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, what we can do? Sometimes I wonder, people say that, oh, you're preaching like this, like that, transforming so many lives, this and that. Sometimes when we look into ourselves, into our own hearts and see the contamination, it is so much contaminated that as soon as we'll go and touch someone, that person should die actually. Yeah, that much of poison is there within. If you're going and touching someone and that person is becoming a devotee, it's for sure we are not the ones. For sure we are not the ones. And then who is that? It is these great personalities, these great superiors who are there always behind us, who are pushing us by empowering us in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, very nicely it is said, Yogyata vichare kichu nahi pai tumara karuna sar. Oh Gurudev, oh my dear Lord, if you're searching for any qualification within me, you'll not find anything. There's only one qualification that I have, and that is your mercy. That's it. I have no other qualification. No other qualification. This is the mood that our Acharya has set for all of us. After many years, this was in 1933, during the Samadhi time of Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj. In public, for the first time, Bhaktisiddanta Saraswati Thakur, he revealed the 3 instructions that Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj gave it to him. The first instruction was not to make any disciples. The second instruction was not to associate with anyone. And the third instruction was not to go to the world of Maya, Kolkata. These are the 3 instructions that was given. And if you see, Srila Bhaktisiddanta Saraswati Thakur violated all the three thoroughly. But then, according to Bhaktisiddanta Saraswati Thakur, he didn't violate even one instruction. He followed all the three instructions to the core with full faith and devotion. And he explained that particular day. He said, I didn't violate any of the above because, first, I did not make disciples. Those who consider me as the Guru, they are the people so inclined to devotional service. By associating with them, my bhakti has increased. Look at the humility of this person. And see, when they say this, one thing is very clear, they're not acting. अभी गुरु महाराज ने कहा था, मैंने तो तोड़ दिया वो इंस्ट्रक्शन, अभी कुछ तो बोलना पड़ेगा पब्लिक में, चलो कुछ तो बोलते हैं. Genuinely putting it forward. See, Kuti Nati, or in English diplomacy, is only what we have. Yes. From top, from this chakra to down that chakra. All chakras are activated by Kuti Nati. Yes. But when it comes to these great personalities, simple, straightforward. There's no question of hiding anything. And what they feel, they speak. And this is what he would feel, that every single person who accepts me as Guru, in fact, they are my Guru, because they are teaching me to be more inclined towards devotional service. So second thing was not to associate with anyone. So Sri Siddhanta Saraswati or Bhaktisiddanta Saraswati Thakur, he says that association means what? Association means to receive something from someone. I never received anything from anyone because whatever I received, I just saw that my Guru Maharaj is giving it to me. I didn't receive from any other third party. The third thing that was told, never go to the Maya Nagari, Kolkata. And he said, I never went to Kolkata. I went to Gaudiya Math. I went to Gaudiya Math, and that Gaudiya Math is non-different in Vaikuntha. So I was traveling from Navadvip, which is one Vaikuntha, to another Vaikuntha, that is Gaudiya Math. There were sometimes I feel very fortunate. When we put our maps also, or we book cabs, from one Bhakti center to another Bhakti center. Yes. From one temple to another temple. That's the mercy of our Acharyas onto us. So in this way, this was a very wonderful relationship that Sri Siddhanta Saraswati had with his Guru Maharaj. Coming back to his Jyotish thing. So this was the last time that he was doing something in Jyotish, something in this astrology. What was that? There was a great person, his name was Sri Bapudev Shastri. Now this person, even in his childhood pastimes, during his college days, this name comes. During his college days, this Sri Bapudev Shastri and the principal of the college, they had come up with a different calculation, astrological calculation. And at that time, Bimal Prasad was heavy and he was just refuting all that. And there was a big debate that was held in open public. The principal was defeated badly by Bimal Prasad, and that was the last day in school. Now, was he removed or he resigned or he gave up? I don't know, but then he came out of the school. Now, the same person, Bapudev Shastri, he was the greatest authority on Jyotisha at that time, especially after 1900, when he himself, he wrote a commentary on Surya Siddhanta, and he published that in Bengali language. He became a great authority. The problem with this person was he was compromising on the Vedic culture just to accommodate the scientific, the contemporary things into our Vedic culture. So he was compromising on that. And the compromise went to a great extent which Saraswati Thakur could detect. And Saraswati Thakur, in his Saraswat Chatushpat, there, all this was very clear. He spoke it very nicely to everyone. And it was very clear what are the actual astrological calculations and what is this person doing. Now, Bhaktisiddanta Saraswati had decided that I'll not get into Jyotish again. But then his disciples who were there before, means Jyotish disciples, they were the ones who came and they were forcing him, no, you should come. They were insisting, you should come and do the needful. This is not proper. Something wrong is going here. Apasiddhanta. Yes, for astrology. Then Bhaktisiddanta Saraswati agreed. Okay, I'll debate. So this was the year 1902, 2nd January 1902. There was a debate that was held. At that time, Sri Bapudev Shastri, he was very old. So his foremost student, and his name was Rai Bahadur Rajendra Chandra Shastri. I don't know how they will call the names in school. And Rai Bahadur Rajendra Chandra Shastri. He was the president of Royal Society. And this person was called for debate. He also agreed. Sri Siddhanta Saraswati also agreed. When both of them agreed on the 2nd January 1902, this debate was held in public. And no doubt about this. Sri Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur badly defeated him. And it is given that Sri Bapudev Shastri, who was hearing all this, involuntarily passed stool and urine in the assembly. You can imagine, this is called as cough of our acharyas. They just by their presence itself, you can see they can shatter various things which are not proper. So after this particular thing, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati and his father Bhaktivinoda Thakur, they decided they'll go to Jagannath Puri. And now the entire plan was, we'll settle in Jagannath Puri for a long time and just go deep in devotional service. I don't know when we will get such desires, that I want to go deep in devotional service. Now this time for chanting that I've got, this time for reading that I've got, this time for hearing that I've got, I just want to go deep in that, be absorbed. I full time to nahi de sakte in case, all the time just bhajan. But at least whatever time we have, at least that time we should think, let me be absorbed in my service, let me be absorbed in my sadhana, at least for this time, at least for this lot that I've got. Look at them. They just gave up everything and they went to Jagannath Puri. And there in Jagannath Puri, the entire agenda was only one, to go deep and be absorbed in Krishna consciousness. Now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is a very influential person. And guess what? What is the age of Siddhanta Saraswati at that time? He was just 27 years old. 27 years old, here our devotees are all the time in anxiety. Job switch karna hai, shadi karna hai, this and that and this and that. Look at him. He is a completely different world altogether. His world is this. His world is what? I want to go deep in devotional service. I don't want to do anything else. And at that time, he told his father, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who was a great influential person at that time, he told his father that, oh father, I want to do bhajan close to Haridas Thakur Samadhi. So all the ones who visited Jagannath Puri, you all will know that there is a nice temple where Srila Haridas Thakur Samadhi is there. So just opposite lane, a lane that goes straight from Haridas Thakur Samadhi, there is a place called Satasana Mathas. There are 7 mathas which are there. And these 7 mathas are a very special mathas because Sapta Rishis did their tapasya there in those places. And after Sapta Rishis, during Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, his close associates did austerities and did various sadhana in those places. And there was one personality. His name was Jagadananda Pandit. You all remember the name? I told some past time, because I was knowing his name will come again. So Jagadananda Pandit, he did austerities, he did his penance, he did his sadhana in one place called Giridhari Asan. And in that Giridhari Asan, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, by his influence, he arranged some service for Sri Siddhanta Saraswati. And the service was taking care of the deities. And the deity's name was Sri Sri Radha Giridhari. And here, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, with lot of awe and reverence and devotion and love, he used to worship them. And every single day, he would hold some discourses in that place. And various people would come to hear him. It is described that many pandits would come to hear him. And when he gets stalwarts in Krishna consciousness, would come and hear him. Various Babajis would come and sit in his class and they would hear him. So it is said that this was one place that they got, Giridhari Asan. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, at that time, he got a plot of land, a small plot of land, where he built his bhajan kutir. And he named this particular place as Bhakti Kuti. And even today, we have that place where our current ISKCON center is running. So we go to Jagannath Puri and you go to the old ISKCON center, there you will see that besides Prabhupada, there is deity of Bhaktivinoda Thakur also. That's the only place where you'll find that. When I went for the first time, I was thinking, what's wrong? Is it Apasampradaya or something? But then later I got to know that was the Bhajan Kutir. That was the place where Bhaktivinoda Thakur did his bhajan. So son is doing bhajan in one place, father is doing bhajan in another place. So in 1903, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur called Bhaktisiddanta Saraswati Thakur and he insisted him that you should speak from Chaitanya Charitamrita here every day. And guess what? Bhaktivinoda Thakur would be sitting in the class and Sri Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he is giving class on Chaitanya Charitamrita. And in between, sometimes Bhaktivinoda Thakur would also comment. And many, many great stalwarts would come. There was one person, a great personality on the material platform. He lost his wife and he was mourning at that time in that place. And he got to know that there's some satsang happening. He goes there, he sits in the class of Saraswati Thakur. He hears the discourse, the intense discourse from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And he forgot everything that happened. He's a completely different man and got into his life very nicely. And it's also described that there were many, many personalities who would come. But one personality about whom I would like to speak, his name is Sri Radha Raman Charan Das Babaji. He was called as Charan Das Babaji. In there, all the devotees would call him like that. So it is described that this personality was an educated man who decided that I'll take up renunciation. So he renounced everything. He took up Vaishnav Dharma and he started following. And he was the one who would now and then visit Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his place called, what was his place called as? Bhajan Kutir was called as Bhakti Kuti. And then our Saraswati Thakur's place, which was called as Giridhari Asam. He would go sometimes to Bhaktivinoda Thakur's place, sometimes to Saraswati Thakur's place. And he would come and sit in the class of Saraswati Thakur also. Now this personality is the one who went in some other direction, got deviated and invented a new mantra. Bhaja Nitai Gaur Radhe Sham Japa Hare Krishna Hare Ram. So if you go to Haridas Thakur Samadhi even today, this is what they sing. They don't sing Mahamantra, they sing this. And in a lot of places in Jagannath Puri, you'll find this mantra. This Apasiddhanta mantra is being chanted. Now just imagine Bhaktivinoda Thakur and there is another Simha, Saraswati Thakur, and in front of them this person has got guts, he has got confidence, he has got all boldness to start some Apasiddhanta and chant some different mantra altogether. So he was coming regularly to these two people and these two personalities were speaking against this particular thing that he was doing. They were speaking left, right, center. They would not leave him. Whenever they would meet, they would not leave him. And don't know what was the attraction that this Babaji, Charan Das Babaji, he would not leave their association. He'll keep coming and meeting them. He would sit and attend Saraswati Thakur's class also. So this went on and on and on. So this was at one place, this was happening. And Saraswati Thakur, in meanwhile, he was going around in Jagannath Puri and he was associating with different sadhus there, different pandits from different sampradaya and try to learn what is the siddhanta that they have. He was trying to collect the details of that place, details of the sampradaya. And he used to go very often because he was preparing himself for preaching. His main preaching was to defeat Mayavadis. And very often he would be going to one place that was called as Govardhan Mutt. I don't know how many of you know. This mutt is established by Sripad Shankaracharya. And at that time there was another personality who was leading that mutt called Sri Madhusudan Tirtha. He was the head of the mutt. And Sri Siddhanta Saraswati would go so often there that this Sri Madhusudan Tirtha, he treated Sri Siddhanta Saraswati very respectfully. And personally he would allow to come to the library, read whatever books needed. They would both sit and discuss the Siddhanta of Mayavad to such an extent that there were people around who were thinking that Sri Siddhanta Saraswati is going to change from Gaudiya Vaishnava to Mayavad. But obviously there was something else which our Saraswati Thakur wanted to achieve. He was going there and learning everything so that in future he can go and beat the same people. He was doing that. So from this point, when he got this thing of preparing for preaching, he went for a South Indian tour. And he went to South India and East Bengal. He went to East Bengal, he went to South India, different places. In January 1905, he visited Udupi to learn about the Madhva sect. And then he went to Srirangam to learn about Ramanuja sect. Then he went to Sringeri. What is there in Sringeri? It is a Mayavadi is there, Shankaracharya sect. And then he went to Simhachalam, Tirupati, Kumbakonam, Madurai, many places. But one thing I would like to mention, many details are given. But one thing which I feel important at this point is, at Ramanujacharya's birthplace, named as Sri Perambadur in Kanchipuram district, he gathered one important information. He gathered important information about three Danda sannyasis. He tried understanding that how these Sri Vaishnavas take sannyas, what are the different details of it, what are rituals of it, and how do the sannyasis in Vishnu Swami Sampradaya, that is Rudra Sampradaya, they take sannyas. So I read that multiple times, the same line. And I think, what is the need of this? Because if you see, we didn't have sannyasis in our line after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We didn't have saffron people after that. It was all Babajis after that. The first person who took saffron after a long time in the parampara is Sri Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And that too, there was no one else to do ritual for him. Because his spiritual master was not present, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. He kept the photo of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj and he took sannyas diksha from the photo. Someday we'll discuss about this pastime also. Yes. But don't try this at home. We are not at the level of Sri Siddhanta Saraswati. Yes. We have to do IDC. We need recommendation. Then we can get initiation. So in this way, he went around and he collected, various different details. And also one point which I would like to mention here is he visited some temples. 2 temples basically in Madurai. It was Lord Shiva's temple and Meenakshi temple. I don't know how many of you know the staunch Sri Vaishnavas who are there. They don't look even at the shikhar of demigod temple. Forget about entering the temple. They don't look at the temple. So that is the case in South India, especially in those places at that time. So now when Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, when he entered the Shiva temple in Meenakshi temple, the priests there were completely surprised. Because he had put a Vaishnav tilak. And he's entering this temple. They were completely surprised. And they were having this thought that why is he coming here? What's wrong with him? At that time, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, he puts forward a very important Siddhanta for all of us. He explained that as the follower of Lord Chaitanya, he entered the temples of demigods to offer them respect as prominent Vaishnavas and not as independent gods. This is what is our mood as Gaudiya Vaishnavas. We have to be very, very clear. Even we might go to some temples, but when we pay obeisance, Vancha kalpataro bhyascha kripa sindhubhyaivacha. Because we consider them as topmost Vaishnavas and we offer repeated obeisances to them, seeking their blessings with only one desire, that I want to get closer to Krishna. So after going all around East Bengal and South India, again he comes back to Puri. When he comes back to Jagannath Puri, again his fight begins. He didn't leave that Charan Das Babaji. Whenever he would catch him, he would start chastising him, he would start making sure that he'll establish logically that what you're doing is improper. It went on to such an extent that became the biggest controversy in entire Jagannath Puri at that time. Because Sri Siddhanta Saraswati would go on speaking and speaking and speaking. It went on to such an extent that he started going door to door to preach about this. He would go knock the door, when people would come out, he would speak about this. That this is Apa Siddhanta. This is not proper. There's no mantra like this, etc., etc., etc. And many of the times during this preaching, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati had to face a lot of problems. Sometimes people would insult him. Sometimes people would push him. And there were times when people would come to beat him also. But when all this was going on, he was all coolly ignoring all this. and he continued his discourses. And guess what? Every day in discourse, Charan Das Babaji would come and sit. See, our acharyas are so attractive, so very attractive that even if someone is blaspheming them, they're coming and sitting in the class of our acharyas. Just imagine. And when this person used to sit in the class, Saraswati Thakur would speak. But one day, Saraswati Thakur went really wild. And he started speaking openly in public in the class about this person, how nasty he is and what activity he is doing. He is presenting this philosophy which is deviated. It's a deviation from the path of devotional service. It's not proper. And that was the day when Charan Das Babaji, he broke all the relationship with Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhaktisiddanta Saraswati Thakur, and he left. But our Sri Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur would not leave. He would go and again, he would speak about this. He'll go and speak to people on the street. He'll speak to people. He'll go around and do a propaganda of this. And it is described that once there was a threat that was given. It was threatened, or Saraswati Thakur was threatened that you will be killed if you don't stop this. There were times when these people plotted against Saraswati Thakur. There were times when these people tried their best to remove him from that seva of Giridhari Asan. They did all that in the background. And our Siddhanta Saraswati was completely cool. It's okay. But his father was not cool. His father was observing all this. And he said, it's not safe that you stay here. And you have a very, very important service in Sri Mayapur Dham. Immediately start for Mayapur. Look at our acharyas. They don't think twice. When it comes to preaching, they are there. But obviously, we are not like them that we take everything coolly. We have to be practical and practically preach and make sure that somehow we trick people into Krishna consciousness. And one thing which is again very clear from the entire life sketch, whatever I spoke till now, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati will not be pleased if anyone deviates from Krishna consciousness. Surely not pleased. There's no question. Therefore, whatever Siddhanta is there, we have to understand that Siddhanta first. We cannot float in the Sahajiya mood. Therefore, it is said, Siddhanta baliya chitte na kara alas. Iha haite sudrada lage, iha haite Krishna lage sudrada manas. Only the ones who understand Siddhanta properly can actually nicely do devotional service with full determination at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. The ones who don't understand Siddhanta, float on the sentimental platform, they are the ones who will have tough time. And even if they deviate, they will never understand that they've got deviated. Therefore, this point is very, very important. You see, after all, our life is meant to please all these acharyas. If we don't please them, what is the use of our life? What is the use of getting connected to Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya and not pleasing the Gaudiya Vaishnavas in the Parampara? What is the use of that? And they don't expect much from us. Very little. He used to chant every day 192 rounds. He's not expecting that from us. But his expectation is very clear that we should follow the Siddhanta very properly. There is no question of giving rise to some upper Siddhanta. Just imagine all those people who are going out of ISKCON and starting their own organization. Just imagine that how much displeased Saraswati Thakur would be. Yes. And the ones who are starting their own different things of taking initiation from previous gurus. Just imagine how much Bhaktisiddanta Saraswati Thakur would be displeased. In fact, one of our senior devotees was saying, such devotees have no other place other than hell. What is it? If you displease the acharyas, then what is the other place that remains? It's only hell. What else will remain? It's an offense that is there. So in this way, Srila Bhaktisiddanta Saraswati Thakur, Simha Guru, he started his Simha activities right from Jagannath Puri when he was when he came, 1905. 1900, he was 25. When he was 30. When he was 30, he was going around and preaching like this. So when I was reading all this, I was thinking, what am I doing? So we have also come to the same age, then what? Nothing, eating and sleeping. Therefore, when we read about these personalities, one thing that should come is the fire of preaching and the fire of devotional service. When we read about these personalities, naturally that becomes very contagious. Even I want to do. Maybe I'll not be able to do what they are doing, but at least something to please them in Krishna consciousness. Till now we discussed about his fiery preaching mood. So when we went to Mayapur, he did a lot of very important things. Very, very important. And very fiery sadhana, which we will see tomorrow morning. So very, very nice pastimes in Mayapur again. Again, we'll try to learn about his deep mode of sadhana to please Guru and Krishna. Thank you very much. Srila Bhaktisiddanta Saraswati Thakur ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.